So do we start?
Yes, Carmen, we are ready in 30 seconds, so get ready. We'll give you the sign in the chat.
Maybe let me just close the window because
There might be an issue with your microphone. Yes, Carmen, we are now live.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the session of the Info Day on Destination 4 of Cluster 1. Destination 4, which has the overall goal to ensure access to innovative, sustainable, and high-quality healthcare. This destination is Innovative in the Horizon Europe in the sense that for the first time, a full destination has been assigned to the healthcare systems. It's building on what has been done in the past in the areas of health systems and public health, but a full destination is assigned to the challenge faced by the healthcare systems, which are affected by limitations in sustainability and resilience, challenges which have been reinforced by the COVID crisis that has revealed inequalities in access to high-quality care services. So the research and innovation actions that will be funded under this destination should help the European health systems to become more effective, efficient, accessible, fiscally and environmentally sustainable, and equally resilient in order to cope with public health emergencies. In a nutshell, Destination 4 topics will address the transformation and modernization of the healthcare systems, and also will take advantage of digital and data-driven innovations to make our healthcare systems more flexible and equitable. In the specific web of the Info Day, you will find a video that will provide more detailed information of each of the topics that are going to be funded in the context of the 2022 World Programme. But in the context of this destination, there are three that you can see displayed in these slides. The first is the pre-commercial procurement for building the resilience of healthcare systems in the context of recovery, with the closure date on 21st April, a total of 25 million euro allocated to this pre-commercial procurement topic. Second topic, also innovation procurement instrument, but more concretely a public procurement of innovative solutions for building the resilience of healthcare systems in the context of the recovery. Same date of closing and a budget of 15 million euros. These two topics are very much related to address the COVID crisis. And a third topic is called Better Financing Models for Healthcare Systems. It's also a single-stage topic with closure in April 2022 and with a budget of 30 million euros. Now, as I said, we will not enter into the detail of the scope of these topics, but of course, we invite you to read carefully through them, in particular to what are the expected outcomes that are expected. And when you look at that, we could advise you to very clearly look at who are the expected users of the results that will be generated by the topics, because that way we will be able to generate outcomes. So without prolonging anymore my introduction, I think it's time to go through the questions that I see there are already a few of them. I have several colleagues that will help to answer these questions, which have been very much involved in the preparation and in the writing of these topics. So time for the first one, which is on the third topic, on the better financing models. And the question is that I see is asking whether technologies in this financing topic, whether technologies are or not part of these topics. And I would ask my colleague Annika Sternquist to provide an answer to this question. Thank you, Annika. The floor is with you.
Thank you, Carmen. Yeah, so when we prepare the work program, excuse me, we look at other policies and programs, of course, to avoid overlap, but we also look where we can foster synergies. And then also important, we look internally between the different destinations of the health cluster. So although financing of technologies is of course highly relevant for destination 4, it is also highly relevant for destination 6, which is focusing more on the health industry. So in this work program, we are financing a topic on financing of innovations under destination 6. And it's called New Pricing and Payment Models for Cost-Effective and Affordable Health Innovation, if you would like to have a look at that. And we also say in this topic, the better financing of health systems topic, that projects funded under this topic are strongly encouraged to participate in networking and joint activities. And in particular, they are expected to liaise with successful applicants under that topic that I just read the title of. So I don't know if any of my colleagues would like to add something, but otherwise I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Annika. Let's move to the second question then, which is on the two first topics, on the innovation procurement topics. And the question is saying that the two procurement topics are very similar. Indeed, they have more or less the same topic. Sorry. But what is the difference between the two? And I will pass the floor to my colleagues, but indeed they are in different phases of the procurement phase. The pre-commercial procurement still needs somehow research activities to be performed in order to see what is the best solution to address the potential needs. Whereas in the public procurement for innovation, we are much more closer to the market, and the product is almost there, and just the final phases for having it in the market are still necessary. But I will pass the floor to Jerome de Barros so that he can provide maybe a few more explanations on the difference between the two topics.
No, thank you, Carmen. No, and you really pointed out what is really the main difference. So the person that's posing the question is right in the sense that the two topics are indeed quite similar in terms of objectives and that they try to promote innovations. But as you pointed out, we are looking at supporting solutions that are very different stages of development, very mainly on the fact that when it comes to the PCPs, the idea is to procure the R&D here of solutions that are not yet ready to be deployed. There is more need for the solutions to be further developed and tested, whilst for the PPI, we really are looking for the deployments of really trying to support the deployment part. They are ready to just need the support of a series of procurers to really get going. So I think that would be the main difference, the stage of development of the solutions.
Thank you, Jerome. So a pre-commercial procurement would start with a concrete need, and precisely there would be still some need of doing further research in order to see whether there is already something in the market that would sort out that need or not, and if not, what would be the necessary research we perform in order to obtain a solution to this particular need. If we move to the next question, is in the financing models again. So Annika, please, should all the points listed in the scope of the topic be addressed by the proposals?
Thank you, Carmen. No, that is not necessary. It's of course possible if it is of relevance for the research project that you're proposing. When you read the work program, make sure that you pay attention to the details. So in this topic, for example, it is stated that proposals should address one or more of the following, and then follows the list of scope for the topic.
Thank you, Annika. I see there is another question on the innovation procurement topics that is looking at a potential link with the coordination and support action part of the 2021 work program. So it's asking whether there should be a link with this CSA. I think that in terms of timing, it would be difficult to have a link between both, because the CSA on the 2021 work program is currently being evaluated. So it can be expected that it would start before the submission of the pre-commercial procurement and the public procurement for innovation, but there would not be, at least it would not be up and running since a long time. But I will pass the floor to Jerome for more precisions in the answer to this question.
No, you're right, Carmen. Indeed, the CSS deadline was in September, and you should expect up to 8 months before the project would actually really start, or at least the grant preparation to be finalized. So it will be difficult to the proposal writing time, let's just say, to consider it. Plus, there's also the uncertainty. There is a core topic that was launched. It is assumed a network will be created, but that's not 100% the case. Guaranteed, let's just say, the proposals need to reach a certain level to become a project. But if assuming that a European network of procurers will be created, we certainly encourage the applicants to start considering this network in a structured way, so that they could try to see how will they be able to use or leverage this network for the promotion of some of their activities later on. For example, in terms of knowledge exchange, but also promoting, for example, some of the activities that they will be developing as part of their project. So that's an extra network to potentially build on in the future, the way I see it.
Thank you, Jerome. Indeed, you are absolutely right. And I think that the same would apply to the different actions that are ongoing already in the context of innovation procurement. There are several networks, several already coordination and support actions, not specifically in the field of healthcare, but that are looking at supporting procurers interested into launching themselves into innovation procurement. So we would invite you to look at the different material that was prepared at the time of the launch of the work program 21 and 22, with a lot of information about innovation procurement, how in particular how to write a proposal on it. There was a full info date on that, and also a workshop. I think all that material would be very interesting for those who want to put forward proposals for any of these two topics that were mentioned. And again, a new question on the innovation procurement topics, in particular on the PCP. The question is whether there are private procurers eligible to be part of the buyers group, which is normally exclusively reserved to public procurers. Well, of course, private procurers are eligible as well, as long as the minimal requirements of the topic are satisfied. But Jerome, I pass you the floor to provide more details.
No, I think I already replied to it. Just to add that actually you need to have at least one public procurer. So at least one of procurer has to be a public one, but obviously other ones can be private. And just maybe redirect these applicant and other ones to the general Annex H of the work program, where you'll be able to find all of the relevant information to prepare your proposal. So all of the requirements. That will be the easiest way to find all that information when it comes to the rules of participation and what will be the requirements expected from the proposals.
Indeed. So the objective of the innovation procurement topics in healthcare is to help the uptake of innovation by the healthcare procurers. With no doubt, there is a majority of procurers in Europe which are public, but these topics are not reserved, as the question is phrased, exclusively to public procurers. That's not the idea. Maybe we can move to the next one, which, although it's not explicitly said, I do imagine is making reference to the better financing models. So Annika, the question is for you and the other colleagues. would purely economic projects be eligible, like those that would be looking at health economic evaluation?
Thank you. I think what's important is to look at the scope and make sure that your research project matches what's in there, and also, of course, to look at the expected outcomes to make sure that your proposal will contribute to that. But I would also like to pass the floor to my colleague, Santiago Calvo Ramos.
Yes, hello. Yeah, no, so indeed, purely economic projects can be completely adequate if they meet the terms in the advert. And basically, when you look at issues of incentives, of financing, health economics can be a very useful tool for actually researching these issues and finding out what are the best financing systems. So indeed, a health economic evaluation would be very appropriate. And yeah, we look forward to receiving them. Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago, and thank you, Annika. So the next question is about innovation procurement topics, and is asking whether the PPI will be launched after the PCP is closed. And actually, no, both topics are launched at the same time. And whether you would be interested into one or into another would depend on the maturity of the solution or of the market or of the that you are trying to procure, that identifies an emerging need or an unmet need. So depending on what the status of depending on what your need is and whether there is anything already somehow there that could satisfy this need, you would go more for a PPI or for a PCP. But both topics are being published at the same time. So what we want is to have proposals that would need both types of support. Those that still need research to be funded through PCP, and those who are very close to the market to be using the PPI. But Jerome, please, I pass the floor to you to complement my answer.
No, there's very little I can add more. As you said, really very much depends on the maturity of the technology proposed or the solutions, whether they are indeed ready to be deployed or not. So that will be deciding whether one topic is more relevant than the other one, really.
So the key aspect is to see what is the problem you are trying to address, and what would be the best way to address it, and what is out there in order to address this problem linked to the recovery. I see there is another question on the financing models, asking what kind of participants. Which kind of participant will aspect to answer? The question is not very clear to me. Maybe we can ask to whoever phrased the question to rephrase it. It's about the kind of participants that would be expected to be beneficiaries of the grant. Maybe we can address in that way, if my interpretation could be appropriate, that what kind of participant would be expected to answer to this call. Annika, do you have an answer for this question?
No, I don't think that we have a particular type of actor in mind, but you can find all the eligibility conditions on the tendering portal. If you look at its annex, sorry, I will need to come back on that, but you can find all the information there if this is about eligibility.
Okay, so whoever asked that question, please don't hesitate to rephrase it to see if we can better help you in terms of what is your real concern, because maybe we misunderstood it. I don't see any further question for the time being, but we have still some time, so please don't hesitate to address more questions to us. I leave a few minutes. If there are no more questions, we will close the session, but I prefer to leave a few minutes because maybe you are you are still writing them.
And perhaps in the meantime, Carmen, I would add that just to point the potential applicants to the PCP and PPI topics, that there was a very good webinar organized on the 22nd of June this year that was on how to prepare successful innovation procurement proposal, where you will find everything you need to know about both instruments. And I highly recommend everyone to really watch it, because it will be you should be able to find all the information that you really need to prepare that proposal.
Yes, indeed. And I think there are also information about the relevant actions that would support procurers in this.
Very right.
This was related to the info days of the Work Program 21, but I think it could be good that we add.
It's still relevant, indeed. Yes, indeed. We'll make sure that it is on the shared, resource shared.
Yes, indeed, it would be great. So, colleagues, did any question come in the meantime?
No, Carmen, there is nothing yet. We will put back the slide or screen if any question arrives.
All right. Well, then, as I said, let's leave until maybe it's 3:01. Maybe we can leave 2 more minutes to see if anything comes in, and otherwise we will just close the session. Of course, additional questions can always be addressed to us, and we can add our answers in the context of the facts questions. I think there are already some facts published in the participant portal, frequently asked questions. I think, yeah, I see there is a question on whether there is also a webinar for the better financing, and the answer is no. The webinar that Jerome was mentioning was about the innovation procurement topics, not in particular these topics of this year, but in general innovation procurement topics that could be an instrument that could be used by Cluster 1, but also by other clusters of Horizon Europe. So it was the webinar to support in general the use of the instrument, of the innovation procurement instrument. That's why it had a particular webinar to help proposals, potential proposers, know better and prepare themselves better in order to put forward a proposal for innovation procurement. Better financing models is a research and innovation action. So in principle, there is no, we didn't think there was need to organize particular webinars for the research and innovation actions, which are much better known as instruments by the stakeholders than the innovation procurement instrument. But there is the video, as I said, the video that is available in the internet, providing more information about this topic as all the other topics that will be funded in Cluster 1 in 2022. So I don't see any other questions coming up. So it's 3:03. I propose we close the session here. Thank you very much for the questions that have been addressed to us, and I hope our answers were satisfying. Don't hesitate in case additional questions come in the next days or weeks to send them to us, and we will do our best to address them. And let me also take advantage of the opportunity to wish you success with the preparation of the proposals. Thank you very much also to my colleagues that have been there to support the organization of this session and answering the questions. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon.